Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Somna Sambo. Next is a resolution of the Senate, Nigeria's highest legislative body, to set up an ad hoc committee to visit the United States to engage with members of the U.S. Congress over reports accusing Nigeria of committing genocide against Christians, allegedly. Senate President Godswill Akpabio made this known on Thursday during Senate plenary on a motion by Senator Ali Ndume and 20 others. Nigeria, indeed, its government have been on the spotlight after U.S. Senator Ted Cruz accused the federal government of enabling, quote, genocide against Christians, citing a number of attacks against Christians across the country. Now, the U.S. congressman, in a post on his X handle, claims that 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2009 and 18,000 churches destroyed by what he calls Islamist armed groups. Now, the senator took his claim further by introducing a bill in the U.S. Senate seeking to sanction Nigerian officials who he accused of enabling the attacks on Christians. As if on cue, the Canadian Parliament also raised similar alarm. However, the Nigerian Senate has vehemently rejected the claim of genocide against Christians in its preliminary reaction, pending a more elaborate discussion on Tuesday, describing it as false, even as the federal government has also described it as false. And to help us make sense of it all, we are now being joined by Bishop Jonathan Maji, chairman of the Northern Christian Religious Leaders Assembly, FCT chapter. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Somna. Thank you.
All right, Bishop, very quickly, is there a Christian genocide in Nigeria?
If you ask me, I will tell you no. In my own opinion, Somna, that is not a spice in a meal. When you talk about genocide, you're talking of total annihilation of a set of people, and it is deliberate. It's a deliberate move, as though the government of the day has a hand and has maybe legislated and given a particular group of people the power to just go in and begin to wipe out a race or a people out of the place. I will tell you it is not. That makes the word genocide very simple, and it looks as though one is just picking a spice from the shelf to just go add flavor to a meal. If that was happening, I don't think I would be seated here. And I'm not sure that the nation will be moving on the way it is. And governance definitely would have been stifled. So you talk to me as a minister of the gospel, I will tell you that such things are not. But when you look at the multifaceted domestic crisis within the nation, which revolves around terrorism, interest, ethnocentrism, land-based disputes, Fulani farmers, haters, kidnapping, and all of those interests, sometimes maybe having political undertones when it comes to interest. And at times when you even look at terrorism, you begin to look at it in a dual way. One, because of abuse of human rights, reforms and government policies, and maybe trampling on some people, human rights based on delayed justice and denial of justices. And sometimes it brings about reprisal attacks. Yeah. Because when you look at the entire nationhood of Nigeria, it seems as though there is a coordinated and organized attack on our nationhood when you begin to look at what is going on. So if you ask me that question, honestly, I will tell you it is not.
All right, so the federal government has gone ahead to deny that there's a genocide, yes, a Christian genocide. The Senate has also done same, and they're saying they're sending a delegation. Yes. But I mean, we actually brought you here because you are one of the leaders within northern Nigeria. You're a minority yourself, a religious minority in the north, and then a minority in terms of ethnicity and all of that. And then you are, you know, the people on ground going from different states and all of that, with your association and all of that.
Yes.
Talk to us about efforts, maybe by the government or interested personalities, to see how, you know, there could be peaceful coexistence, religious coexistence among minorities, especially within the north.
Great efforts are on ground in the first place. I'm a member of the Arewa New Agenda, And this organization has done so much in the last 3-4 years. When we came together by the help of one of the leading leaders of the nation, we are put together. Our chairman is a former senator of the 8th Senate, Senator Ahmed Mola Aidi Abubakar. He has been leading us, and we have been to states, we have visited governors, we have gone from one office to the other and trying to put together. At a point, we were even asked to talk to some of our fellow clerics, the Muslim clerics, the sheikhs, the ministers of God, especially those who were always talking on social media and inciting worshippers and parishioners. We went from place to place, and I can tell you, honestly speaking, that between the periods of 2023 and now, there had been, if you go to the social media, you notice that such attacks, such reprisal attacks have always come up and inciting people and tend to bring about diversity and divisions in the nation's polity, had really gone down by far, because even the current Minister of Defense, who was then the governor of Jigawa State, he called us.
That's Muhammad
Badaru. We met him, we moved to him, went to Lalong then, we were telling him what we're doing, and then above all, Christian bodies and leaders. Recently, when I was appointed the FCT chairman of Northern Christian Religious Leaders Assembly, one of these things is to be able to checkmate the peculiar troubles within the 19 states of the northern Nigeria. And we just got the national body inaugurated about a week ago, and very soon we're about to take off. FCT is really going to make an impact in the course of our trying to unite and bring. Now let me say this before I pull the curtain. For sometimes now, about 3 years, I've always been hosted by various television stations. I know Berekete Family, that is one of their radio, on Zaman Lafia. Zaman Lafia has been one of the programs.
Living Together in Peace.
Yes, Living Together in Peace is one program that has traversed the nations of Africa, especially the West Africa, whenever we are on air with some of the imams talking about, and you see people calling in. The Muslims, the Fulani men, and the Christians, and everybody is commenting, trying to look at the nations critically. And in the course of our examining and analyzing and researching through what could be the reason, which is now termed as genocide. No, it doesn't exist. We discovered that interest was being promoted, that's individual interest, was being promoted above the national interest, and which we took a swipe on and went after this particular maligning issues and begin to address them. We see how we could talk to people. We discovered that hunger was part of an economic issues. When somebody has no maybe source of
income or something.
Yes,
like
source of income and livelihood, he tends to look for avenues, especially some of our men of God, and begin to see misbehaviors going on. And in the process of time, it snowballs into crisis, and then a lot of things begin to happen. So,
all right, very interesting perspective there.
Yes.
But I want to talk to you about this U.S. Senator, Senator Ted Cruz, saying, and I'm quoting him now, that 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2009, and 18,000 churches destroyed by what he called Islamic armed groups and all of that. I mean, you've been traversing different parts of the country, especially the north, where you actually do a whole lot of your work missionary activities and all of that. And you also do that internationally too.
Yes,
I mean,
sure. I just returned from Russia.
Okay, is this the reality actually?
No, it's not the reality at all. Now, you see, like I said, one of the problems we have to look at critically, and when you look at the current state of governance in Nigeria, it does not look like the Christian genocide is going on. And because when you look at the high-ranking service chiefs, you discover that from the Chief of Defense Staff down to the Controller General of Immigration, does it look like the setting is just, maybe having what we say equal sharing of leadership between the Muslims and Christians?
Yeah, especially, and do we say that all of these are coming because of that?
No, it is not. It is not. It's
the Muslim ticket that happened in 2023.
When you look at the Muslim ticket, whom have the Muslim ticket favored more in this present administration? You notice that the body of Christ had benefited so much in that. So if there was to be any genocide, that would be a factor that will, at the end of the day, underplay what such a senator is trying to. I am looking at it as a coordinated attack against our nation, because this nation has the potential of returning back to her full-fledged nature, as it were, in the past years.
Yeah, in terms of leadership within Africa, globally.
And even globally. Resource-based, and you begin to look at economic news, and you consider and compare economic news with political news. If you don't adjust, when you don't know what to do at the end of the day, you may end up just playing along light matters that don't hold water. But I always advise people to take off their minds from political news, because if they are able to listen to what is happening on the ground economically, they will know that the country is. But to answer your question very well, I would like to let you know that there is a coordinated, and a masterminded plan to make sure that the body of Christ and her neighbors, other religions, are living together in harmony. When we begin to move from one location to another location, our message has always been on how to douse some of these crises that come based on individualistic interests against the public interest of the nation.
All right, so what will you say to the U.S. senators, and then, of course, the U.S. government, and a whole lot of people are also questioning how these people actually gather this intelligence? Could it be that some Christian groups are also reporting the country and its government to these people? And then, of course, there have been issues of both Christian churches and Muslim mosques also being attacked. Is it that they are not getting the proper feedback?
No, I think that sometimes when somebody wants to ask for favor from somewhere, he begins to look for maybe some reasons or excuses to hold in order to attract favor. But to me, I would have advised the senator, the U.S. senator, not to have come out that way. Even if somebody was going behind the curtain to tell him things about it, he would have investigated that very well. Because if we begin to look at the multifaceted problems and crises within the nation, there are over 10. And each one of them does not wear the looks of a genocide. Not even the Nigerian Civil War. Not even the Nigerian Civil War that had a Christian head of state and a Christian, what do you call it?
A rebel leader, or
so
however you call it.
Till today, when you look at it, there is no such things going on. I think.
Well, I mean, some people will dispute that very quickly as we try to wrap up. Some people will tell you actually that there have been churches being burnt, and then church leaders being killed, and all of that.
There is no denying the fact.
Some places in Nigeria, are you trying to say that those things are also not happening?
Let me just even point out. Let's point out Boko Haram, for example. Let's look at Boko Haram that is peculiar to northeastern Nigeria. When you look at Boko Haram, they declared the nation of Nigeria an apostate entity. They did not declare any other person. The only problem they have with you is that when they want to place their demand on you and you resist them, the next thing, they have attacked Christians so much. But then their impact had always been on their Muslim fellows more, that when they now find you, when they come across you and take on you suddenly, it turns out to become a thing that you will not be able to do. So they have impacted There are damages on the Christians, impacted on the Muslim, impacted on the general public.
All right, so it's pure terrorism and criminality. So just before I let you go, one last word for the Nigerian government, the federal government, in terms of
like them
protecting minorities, religious, ethnic minorities, and all of that.
Yes, I would like the government to put in her best. They are doing all they can to make sure that this nation gets stabilized, and we are seeing it, especially this present administration. Right. You can bear witness that from those 1,000 statistics that are being given, which will not even be, everything had been reduced to the barest minimum, and we can tell you that people are beginning to move like it used to be before. Because those interests are being addressed, and we're beginning to see a country that is governing the affairs of a nation that will interest the public. Because it does not come easy when repairs begin to happen, even in the spiritual. Damages are easily carried out than repairs.
Unfortunately,
something good
I don't have enough time, but we must thank you very much. That's actually a very fine place to leave this conversation.
Thank you very
Bishop
much.
Jonathan Maji is the chairman of the Northern Christian Religious Leaders Assembly, FCT chapter. We must thank you so much for joining us to provide clarity on this. And these are the people on the field, actually, who have proper knowledge on what's going on, whether there's Christian genocide or not. But of course, a word for the Nigerian government there by the cleric. That's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. Do join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Sumner Samuel.